They pulled the license plates off. They broke the aerial off. They were about to demolish the car. Then they started rocking the car. So I put the window down and I told one of the police officers, I said, hey, you know, they're going to kill us in here. They're going to tear this car up. Can't y'all do anything? He got over with the guy, said, hey, man, Presley's got a lot of money. He can buy another one. So at that moment, Scotty Moore was driving. He said, Scotty, hit that gas pedal. Let's get out of here, man. So Scotty hit that gas pedal, and they kind of got out of the way because we were coming through, you know, heck or high water. It started to get like that.
When you visualize a sharecropper's life, and a son who has this wonderful voice, and this, when one speaks about celebrity status, I don't know, because you bring a lot of sacrifices for it. He couldn't walk the streets like other people can. He had to be careful of what he did, but I think he enjoyed it.
After his first day in Miami, after his last show, and we were sitting in the hotel room, and the Colonel came in with the script, the Reno brother. So we sat and we were reading the script together, because there was no singing, and he was tickled. He was real tickled about that. It was a straight acting part. He was critical, you know, and he said, I sound like a hillbilly. And this was the first time that Elvis got to see himself on the big screen. He had seen, what do they call it, dailies, but not on a big screen. So he was amazed at the size of himself when he was up there, you know, and we were all looking, we were all quiet. And his mother was just tickled, you know, because he looked so good up there. And then they had the audacity to put in one of those damn silly songs during this private screening, and, you know, he just went berserk, you know, and he said, it's a piece of shit, man, it's a piece of shit, it's garbage. He was really upset about that. And I loved it. I thought he was just gorgeous, so big and humongous on the screen. You know, just, that's a lot of Elvis up there. I think the main reason that he was so upset about singing was because he hated musicals. When we went to see The King and I in Biloxi, and Yul Brynner would turn to Deborah Kerr, and instead of saying I love you, he would start singing, and Elvis would say, I can't stand it, you know, let's get the hell out of here. And so we walked out on The King and I.
I thought early on, considering everything, that Elvis was a pretty good actor with what he was doing. They found a niche in Hollywood, and he fit perfectly into that niche. Singer, gets in fights, wins the girlfriend, wins the young lady, and all of that. You see, that was patterned, I think, a lot after the Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis pictures and the Frank Sinatra pictures, because they weren't actors. Frank was a singer, and Dean was a singer, and Jerry was a comedian. So they had Hal Wallace at Paramount. He fit them into situation movies just like Sinatra was. And for that, I thought Elvis did a pretty good job. But I do believe that Elvis probably could have been a better actor if he'd had better scripts and better supporting cast and better directors.
Colonel Parker had a big to-do with deciding what Elvis should do and shouldn't do.
Colonel Tom Parker probably was the greatest manager, in my opinion, that ever lived. The other side of Colonel Parker, he wasn't really artistic-minded. So when we tried to discuss with the Colonel about maybe getting Elvis better movie scripts and better supporting actors, the Colonel rebelled at that. He said no. He said all Hollywood is interested in is making money. Because they were so successful, they stuck with the formula pictures.
The irony was he sang through everything. Colonel Parker cared less about Elvis's talent that went to waste, because the money was more important to him than Elvis's dreams. Now, when I look back on it, it's like a different lifetime, because it has been so long ago. It's probably a combination of me, Elvis, and Colonel Parker that ended our relationship.
Well, in the early years, Colonel Parker did tell Elvis if he got involved, he felt, you know, some of the fans would say, oh, he's involved, they'd back off a little, go after somebody else. I don't think it was so much June. I just think it was the fact that any girl Colonel didn't want Elvis to get involved with her.
I think they might have gotten married if it hadn't been for Colonel Parker. That's the reason. I think they would have gotten married.
But Elvis didn't have to go along with the Colonel on these things. But when you read about Elvis having a house guest over Christmas vacation, I hadn't spoke to him other than a telegram in probably 4 months. You don't, if you love somebody, you don't put them on hold that long, do you? Elvis didn't need me. He had worlds, you know, the whole world full of girls of his choice. If I could change the way that things turned out, I would go back and do things different. I wouldn't have been so quick to leave without finding out. I was a little stubborn, a little hard-headed, and I was not going to allow anyone to break my heart. You know, I was not in any hurry to get married. So even though I did get married the following year, out of spite, I think.
Elvis wasn't ready to get involved and get tied down at that time. It was happening so fast and so furious and so quick.
He was a living legend. Elvis already had 3 gold records at this time. And now he's even a bigger legend. I think back and everybody, there's not a person in this world doesn't know the name Elvis Presley. And Elvis Presley loved me. But Elvis was not a typical loved one, was he?
I got along so well with him, you know, and he thought a lot of me. I'm sure he did. Because he did a lot of things for me, you know, anything that I approached him on, he said, I'll be glad to do that for you. Because you've really been nice to us and taking us fishing, my mother and father and all of us. I thought that was a tremendous thing on your part to be so nice.
As I reflect back on the early days of Elvis, and I'm talking now in the 50s, it was happening so fast and so furious and so quick. It was Ed Sullivan, it was New York, it was Hollywood, it was Million Records. The world was his at that time, you know.
Copying or reproduction of this film is strictly prohibited. That's it.